This is long overdue. I really need to talk about this because some people just don't understand this. And so I want to break this down, the importance of gearing. The importance of gearing, the principle behind gearing. So let me break it down to y'all why it's important to be gearing. Because some of y'all just cannot seem to comprehend the reason. And I will break down why it is that I see the importance in that by my own reasoning and why it's such a big deal within a game such as PSO2 NGS and any online MMO, quite frankly. But first, before I get in that, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Helps out a lot. So first and foremost, gearing in this game is not difficult. Now, some of y'all maybe played the game in its earlier years, and you still might be thinking about that because you're not playing it now. Now, naturally, back then, it was a bit more difficult to just have at least your average, decent gear. It wasn't hard, but it was admittedly a bit more difficult. Now, however, with the escape of the game, it is too easy. Everything is handed to you. There is no reason, none, no freaking reason to not have at least average decent gear. And now, when I say average or decent gear, look, I mean exactly that. Like, you don't have to be a freaking elitist. I'm not an elitist. I will say I'm an elite player. I like difficulty. I like challenging myself. But I'm not the type of person who pushes that on others. And it's like, oh, well, you have to have the best freaking gear in the game or otherwise you can't run stuff with me. No, I don't care. As long as you have at least average, decent gear, you're working towards something. As long as you're not just simply being lazy and being like, oh, well, everyone else has good gear, so I don't have to do anything. Hey, Mr. Bob over there who likes to be assigned in a group project at school, but you don't contribute to the project at all. So now the whole group is pissed off at you and you still get an A. That sound familiar? That's the same exact thing here. That's what I get on people about that stuff because you are not participating. You're not holding your own. Now, everything I do pretty much revolves around respect. Everything I do. Right, my core value with everything. So respect, self accountability, respecting other people's time, so and so and so. It all revolves around that stuff. That's one of the principles that I heavily live by. If you come in here with disrespect, then you're not going to get anything out of me. Plain and simple. If you're disrespecting me, or if I feel like I'm being disrespected by what you're doing, if I feel like you're coming in here and you're just expecting everyone to just work hard for you, and you don't want to put in the effort, then I'm not going to be too fond of that behavior. Plain and simple. It's that simple. So that's why it's important to be gearing because it's not only for you, it's for the other people that you're playing with. Now, if you're only just on the game to do fashion, sure, no problem. Then just do that. But if you are at any point given in time intending to run anything with groups that are not the people that you have, teamed up with and you have come to a agreement that you don't need to be geared, then you need to be geared. You need to have at least an average, basic, decent gearing because it is too easy in this game to be geared, not to be at least above average in this game. It is too easy. They have handed everything. They have made this game so easy. And it's so funny because the easier they make it, the lazier people get. The easier they make, that's why you have to be very careful as anything, as a company, as whatever, about giving handouts. Because you give handouts and then they keep biting. They keep wanting more handouts. They keep wanting more handouts. They keep wanting more handouts. More and more and more and more and more and more. And then once you get on that train, it's like game over, dude. It's game over. Because you keep giving them handouts, but the fact of the matter is that they're just lazy. These handouts, you give these handouts, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything except for make them more lazier. So you have to understand that, and you have to be very careful with that because we have seen that happen in the game. Obviously, because you still see it to this day. Naturally, it has gotten better, of course, but you still see it, and that's a prime example. But nonetheless, you don't have to be an elite. You don't have to have the best of the best gear. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You just have to have, your common stuff. Like don't walk out and expect to just use the epith armor, use the epith sword and the decum armor and not change any of the augments and stuff like that. Like, no, these are freebies that are given to you to set you up so that you can get better gear. These are not, oh, here's some free gear, let me just go run all the content with it. No, you are disrespecting yourself and you're disrespecting other people's time. Plain and simple. Okay, it is not difficult to get any of these augments in this game. It's not difficult to gear up in this game. Everything is super duper easy in this game. It's all super easy to get now. Maybe it wasn't like that a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, but now it is. I'm not talking about back then. Stop living in the past. I ain't talking about back then. Right now, for the past like half a year, it has been easy as all boobity boppity balls to get gear in this game. And they made it, they have this upgradable paths now. So these weapons have been very useful since they were introduced, since Zelios were introduced, since Ecdysis were introduced. And that's been months at this point. There's no reason, no reason whatsoever. And so you just have to understand that it is very important, not only for you, but for others. When you go into, a Dark False Dalion R2, it is just disrespectful of everyone who's in there and yourself to not at least be trying to gear. Like I said, you don't have to have the most craziest, best gear in the game, but at least be trying to gear. It's really that simple. At least be trying to gear, and it's not difficult to gear. It's not difficult. All these augments that you see on this right here, all these augments that you see are not difficult augments to get, and you don't have to use all these augments. There's LC variants as well, because they released the top tier LC variants of a lot of these. So now we have these top tier LC variants. For instance, ones like, like this, like that, like this, like this. Like, these are top tier LC variants. That there's no reason not to be using those if you can't get the real versions of them. And, always keep in mind when it comes to LC augments as well, do not, you don't want to have all LC augments. These are more so meant to place where you cannot have the real augments. Okay? And so you might be like, well, Spike, it's only 0.25% or 0.5%. What you don't understand, or what you need to understand about the metrics in this game, is that everything in this game is multiplicative. So that 0.25, the higher our potency goes, the more that 0.25 means. So that 0.25 might look like just 0.25, but depending on what your gear is like, when you put that augment on there, it might actually register as like 3 points. And so same thing for, like, if you, let's say you have a unit and you have 6 augments, you don't have a 7th augment on it. Okay? And you put that 7th augment on it, even though it says potency, 4.5 or 5%. It's going to register because you didn't have anything there at all. And assuming that your other stuff is already geared, it's going to register like 15 points on your total. It's going to register that many points because it's all multiplicative. So you see the issue there, how that can be an issue. And now, like I said, if you're just playing by yourself, cool. If you have a little set team, cool. It's no big deal. But it starts to become an issue when you go into team-oriented content. And now things are taking longer for no reason when they don't need to, because it's that easy to gear up. It's that easy. Once again, let me reemphasize, you don't have to be elitist with this. I'm not asking for elitist stuff. Just take note of what you were gearing. Just try to gear. It's not difficult. Everything is handed to you. You have to literally physically try not to gear to have below average gear. You have to make a conscious effort to not gear in order to have a below average gearing. It is like that in this game now. So if you are below the average in terms of gear, you are making a conscious effort to do so. And by making a conscious effort, I mean you're making zero effort. You're being lazy. You do not care about how you impact others around you. You're selfish. I'm just being real with you. Not trying to bash you down. But sometimes people need to tell it to you straight up. You're being selfish. You're not being considerate of the others around you. And if that's who you are, okay, that's who you are. Say that, man up to it, own it. Don't act like something else though. Just be like, hey, look, I'm selfish. I want everyone else to do the work for me. I'm lazy. If you own up to it, if you know what I'm saying, man up, woman up to it, whatever. All right, cool. That at least you know we're making progress. You understand self accountability, so we're making progress. You feel me? I'm not here to bash you down. I'm not here to make you feel this way or that way. I'm just being real with you as I always am. I'm being 100%. I'm giving you the reasons behind this. I'm letting you know what it is, why it's important. And so, if you haven't been playing this game in some time, then you wouldn't know, of course, how bad this was at first. When the first gearing discrepancy really showed its ugly head. This is when Dark Falls Aegis first released as an urgent quest years back. Before then, there wasn't really any content that really highlighted this. But this was bad because Dark Falls Aegis it's like a 10-15 minute fight. The urgent quest. However, it was so bad back then that if you went into a public group, it would take you like pretty much guaranteed at least 30 minutes. And it was not uncommon to take 45 minutes. So imagine being someone who maybe has limited playing time, who maybe has a family, maybe has a kid running around, maybe just doesn't want to spend that amount of time, maybe needs to go cook, just has limited playing time, or whatever, it doesn't matter the reason. There's no reason why you should go into an urgent quest thinking, oh, well, this is going to take me 10-15 minutes. So I can do this real quick and then, just go do what I was going to do. And then instead be in there for almost an hour. That's not fair to anyone. And it's not like it was hard to gear back then either. It was more difficult than it is now, yes. But it was not hard to have at least average gear. This is when the Neos Ashton series was the prime weapon. It was not difficult to gear back then. But people choose not to. Now, understandably, they target a very casual audience. They have focused a lot of their energy on targeting a casual audience, for better or for worse. Probably about half and half. But it really showed its ugly head during that period. Now, it's not like that now. So you can't use that as an excuse. It's like I said, it's extremely easy to gear now. There is no reason not to be able to gear decently now. There's none. Everything is handed to you. Events, seasonal shop, everything is handed to you. It's so easy to gear. Like I said before, like I've showed y'all before, we have all these tricelial weapons. These are all top augments. I didn't pay for any of this. No Meseta was spent besides the Anades, obviously. These are all just materials I had sitting around that I crafted and made. And I don't even play the game crazily. Most days I just get on and do dailies and I hop off. Yet you're telling me you can't make one of these? Not one? And I have all these? See what I'm saying? It clearly shows just a lack of effort, period. That's all it shows. It shows a lack of effort. It shows laziness. It shows not caring about how you're impacting the people around you. Plain and simple. So ultimately, the thing to understand here is that the principle is just simply have some respect for yourself. Have some respect for the people around you. It's not difficult to gear. It is important because this is an MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. It's an MMORPG, which means that it's heavily surrounded by its community. This isn't, Call of Duty. This isn't, some others. No, MMORPGs are heavily centered around community and engagement with others. Teamwork. That's the core foundation of all MMORPGs. Plain and simple. So it's important that you understand this and understand that. And understand that if you are doing content with other people, unless, they have your consent, unless you have their consent about not having gear or whatever, then it's your obligation to at least try to put forth some sort of effort. This is also why, like you go to PSC zones or something like that and you have AFKers. You're interrupting the playing experience of others. This is the same exact thing. It falls under the same exact thing. You're interrupting the playing experience of others. If back then, if you go into a Dark Falls Aegis urgent quest, that should take 10, 15 minutes, and it takes 45. Because you are too caught up in yourself to at least decently gear. You are, quite frankly, interrupting the playing experience of others. Because you are being selfish. The world revolves around you. This is an MMO. Understand that. But at any rate, hopefully this kind of gives you some insight into why gearing is important. The principle of gearing. And like I said, let me re-emphasize and reiterate so you leave with this. I am by no way means being like, hey, you got to be super elite. No. All I'm asking is for some effort. That's all. It's as easy as that. All I'm asking is for some effort. And I forgot to mention as well, when people leave urgent quests and stuff like that, look, I don't really approve of that. But at the same time, if someone leaves an urgent quest or someone leaves, I mean, honestly, you shouldn't really leave urgent quests now at any rate anyway, because even with the gearing discrepancies, they're not nearly as big as they were in the past. So like, at most, you're going to add like 5 minutes to the urgent quest, which isn't crazy. It isn't 15 to 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's not nearly as bad. But I understand when some people will leave certain things like 4-man DFD. If you go into DFD R2 and someone in there is just, they're all the free gear, or they're missing Augment slots or whatever, and that person leaves, I have zero issue with that person leaving. Because the person coming in there does not deserve that type of respect. Because if that person clearly does not respect that they're going into this 4-man grouping and not trying to pull their weight. You understand? They clearly don't respect the other 3 people in there to take the time out to understand that they need to at least try to put some effort towards gearing. So, as a result, I don't really blame the individual for leaving because that person's not showing anyone in there respect either. And if you can tell from the jump, you're not going to be able to clear the run, then there's no reason to necessarily waste time on that. Now, let me clearly state, I'm not simply saying, oh, just because they don't have the best gear in the game, leave. No. I'm saying when it's clear and obvious that this person is not attempting to gear, they're missing Augment slots, they're using all, Epith or Decim, they're using all that, or whatever, or you get what I'm saying. I'm not simply saying that, oh, well, they have to have the best of best augments, otherwise I leave. No, absolutely not. Because everyone has to learn, everyone starts somewhere. I can tell if you're trying or not. And that's the important thing. I can tell if you are trying or not. If you are trying, that's all I want. You don't have to have the best gear in the game. If I can tell that you are trying to put forth effort, then we're already on good footing. But if I see that you are obviously trying not to put forth effort and you want everyone to do the dirty work for you, to carry you, no. At any rate, be sure to like, subscribe. Hopefully this clears up things and lets you understand fully, kind of the way I think about it, the pathing with it, and the importance of it just in general. So that way you understand both sides of the scope and with some little history and whatnot. So like I said, be sure to like, subscribe. I will see you on the next one. Much love. Holla.
Spike to content.